What's up, ladies and gents, Ghost here, bringing you another episode of Gun Guide, the show where I showcase what weapons I use, why I use them, and in what situations. Today we're going to be taking a look at the SPAS-12, definitely one of the more controversial weapons within Battlefield, something that a lot of people have their reservations about, and if you jump in a game with a shotgun, you're more likely than not going to get at least one person flaming you for using a shotgun, but nevertheless, they are part of Battlefield, and I enjoy running around with a shotgun every now and again as much as the next guy, and when I do, I will usually pick up the SPAS-12. Now, you may say, why not go for an automatic shotgun, and I'll tell you why. Long story short, I think they're kind of cheap. With the pump action shotguns, if you go around the corner and you miss your first shot, more often than not, you're going to be straight out dead. And I think that kind of balances things out. There's much more of a risk-reward factor with the pump actions. So if you're on target and you can aim amazingly, you can kill targets with one shot. With the extended mags, you can have 7 rounds in the SPAS-12. Okay, meaning effectively you can kill 7 people without having to reload, and I just can't see anybody doing that with any of the automatic shotguns. I mean, yes, they have more rounds in each magazine and they have a slightly higher rate of fire, but at the same time they have less pellets in each cartridge, or if you're using slugs, they do a lot less damage as well, and killing somebody with one shot is pretty unlikely. Now, back in the old days before close quarters, the go-to pump-action shotgun used to be the 870 MCS, but since close quarters came out and the SPAS-12 came along, that has been a strong competitor. Now, I can tell you that the stats for both of these shotguns are extremely similar. There are very, very small differences. The main one being that the SPAS-12 has a slightly faster rate of fire, with 150 compared to the 870's 125 rounds per minute. However, the 870 has 1 more pellet per round, so if you're using buckshot or you're using flechette, each round has a number of pellets, and each pellet will do a maximum of 18 damage and a minimum of 6. Now, the 870 has 12 pellets every shot, but the SPAS-12 only has 11 pellets. So what makes me pick the SPAS-12 over the 870? Well, it's simple really, it all comes down to slug rounds. Now, for any of you who don't know what slug rounds are, they're essentially one single projectile, so unlike buckshot and flechette, which fire a number of pellets, and those pellets sort of spread out, and the more that hit the enemy, the more damage you're going to do, slug rounds fire one straight projectile, and this projectile does a maximum of 100 damage and a minimum of 50 meters away. And this damage model is exactly the same for the SPAS-12 and for the 870, so really, the SPAS-12 has an advantage over the 870 in rate of fire when you're using slug rounds. Now, personally, I will always run slug rounds with the SPAS-12, and I've never really seen any reason to go with buckshot or flechette. It just really doesn't seem to compare. Slug rounds do 50 damage up to 37.5 meters away, so you can get a one-shot kill in the chest with 100 damage up to 15 meters away, but all the way up to 37.5 meters away, they will still do 50 damage per shot. So if you headshot somebody like 35 meters away, you can one-shot them with the shotgun. If you've got buckshot or even flechette, you're not going to be able to do that. And for me, that is what really makes this shotgun with the slug rounds so much fun. You know, a lot of people flame you and say that it's really cheap, or you're a noob, or it's like easy to use, but the fact of the matter is it's not. You really have to be on target. With slug rounds, it's one projectile, so it is completely hit or miss. It's not like buckshot or flechette, where you can fire in somebody's general direction, and if you have part of the circle on them, you're at least going to do some damage. The slug round is going in the middle of the circle, and you're either going to hit them or you're not. Now, what I'm going to show you next may surprise many of you. It certainly surprised me when I picked up this weapon and started using the slug rounds, and they are insanely accurate at medium to even medium long ranges, to be honest with you. And I'm going to head into an empty server now to show you what I'm talking about. Alright guys, so here we are in sunny Operation Firestorm at my favourite shooting range wall. And just for comparison's sake here, I'm going to shoot some flechette into the wall and sort of show you the spread at various ranges. Now, remember, flechette is supposed to be for longer ranges, so this is not even buckshot here, this is flechette. Okay, so if we go here just at a pretty close range, okay, you can see that's a pretty tight spread, and we're only about, I don't know, 5 feet away or something. So now let's back up to something a little bit more long range. Okay, say about here. And we're going to aim down sight for this test, because when using slug rounds, I will be aiming down sight most of the time. Okay, so that's a full clip there. Now you can see the spread, it's pretty wide, and if there was somebody standing there, probably only about half of those pellets at that range would have actually hit the person. So now let's back up to something pretty long range here. Okay, that's pretty, well, a little bit more. Alright, that's pretty much as long range as you're gonna get with a shotgun, in my opinion. Okay, now I fired a little bit slower there because I waited for the Cobra sight just to calm down a bit. Okay, now you can see that that spread is absolutely freaking huge. Anyway, now I'm going to switch up to slug rounds and show you the difference. Alright, you guys, so here we are back with our slug rounds. Now, there you can see the flechette, short range, medium range, and close range. Oh, okay, let's take this one as an example here. We'll move up to this wall. Okay, so this is going to be the short range. I think we stood around here. So as you can see, it is one single projectile and they're all going in exactly the same place. Alrighty, so moving up to a more medium range around here. Let's take this wall. Now, as you can see, I don't know what the hell is happening in the server, but I seem to be like lagging running around. Anyway, as you can see, except for this shot here, where that's because I actually moved the mouse, all of the shots went in exactly the same place. So, okay, let's move up to something extremely long range. Where was it? I think we stood around here for the super long range shot. I'm actually going to have to, yeah, duck under this ladder here. Okay, now we're going to do the super long range shots. Okay, so you can see here from short, medium, and long range, there is literally no difference in the spread whatsoever, which is pretty damn crazy when you consider that this is a shotgun. So this slug round is literally going to go wherever you place it. Now, of course, shotguns have pretty crappy sort of bullet velocity, so you're really going to have to lead your target at longer ranges, but this spread here, compared to this one, I'll take the slug rounds any day. Now, if we talk a little bit about attachments that are available, it's kind of a toss-up between extended mags, laser sight, and flashlight. And for me, I pretty much always run with extended mags. I think it's just so important to have those 2 extra rounds. Even though it's only 2, it can make a big difference. Flashlight can be nice in certain situations to give yourself that extra split second to take out the enemy, but it gives away your position, and for me, it just isn't as good as having those extra mags. You know, the funniest times with the shotgun is where you get up close and personal with several enemies at once and sort of take them each out with 1 slug round, and in those situations, having 7 rounds rather than 5 makes a big difference. Now, there is also the option of the laser sight, of course, but personally I think this is more of a hip-firing buckshot sort of solution. If you're going with the slug rounds, you want to be as accurate as possible, so hip-firing them really isn't the best course of action. I pretty much zoom in with this weapon, aim down sight every single time I fire a shot, so the laser sight kind of doesn't assist me much there, since it decreases your aiming down sight accuracy and increases your hip fire accuracy. However, if you are looking to run this weapon with buckshot or flechette, then the laser sight may be a place to look. Now, choice of sight really doesn't matter too much. I personally go with the red dot sight or the Cobra sight. I know a lot of people like the iron sights on this weapon as well. Not only does it look really cool, but they're actually not that bad. A couple of other tips I would definitely give you guys on using this weapon is to run with the Magnum as a sidearm. This weapon coupled with the Magnum is just a great combination. You have the SPAS shotgun for those close range encounters, and then if you see somebody really far off in the distance, you can try and pull off a couple of headshots with the Magnum, and it really makes you feel like you've got 2 sort of skill cannons, and it makes it so satisfying when you pull off an awesome kill streak. Another tip, especially if you're running like me with extended mags rather than the laser sight, is to aim down sight every shot you take. Hip firing this thing with slug rounds is really not going to work, and you can get really good at aiming down sights, pulling off headshots, or at least chest shots at closer ranges. You're going to be extremely effective with this weapon. And it is difficult at first. If you miss your first shot, like I mentioned before, most of the time you do end up dying. But in those situations where a number of enemies come around the corner and you're just like, boom, aim down sight, headshot or chest shot every time, it's extremely rewarding to use this weapon. Now, one final tip for you guys is to reload as you go. And if you're not used to using the pump action shotguns, it's going to be something that you're not used to. It's not like when you're reloading a assault rifle, for example. If you go into the reload animation with an assault rifle, the only way to interrupt that animation is by switching to your secondary. So if somebody comes around the corner, you're kind of in the shit, and people get used to sort of saving the rounds that are left in their clip. But with the pump action shotguns, you can actually reload a number of shells into the cartridge or into the weapon, and you can interrupt that animation at any time. So say you're in mid reload and somebody pops around the corner and surprises you, you don't have to switch to your secondary. You can just hit the left mouse button, fire, you will fire the weapon instantly. So you kind of want to reload as you go. Maybe you fire off 2 or 3 shots running around a corner, get reloading straight away. You really don't want to run completely out of ammo with this weapon, because if you do, you'll have to go through this sort of extra little reload animation of sort of putting a clip. I'm not exactly sure what he does, but he kind of puts a clip into the side of the shotgun, and only then will you be able to put cartridges into the weapon. And whenever I've got into those situations, I almost always end up dying. So remember that, guys, reload as you go. Now, I think it's definitely going to be interesting to see what DICE brings to the table with shotguns in Battlefield 4. I know they have a suppressed SPAS shotgun within Battlefield 3. It's something that only DICE employees are entitled to, but you can actually see on the loadout screen that you can select the suppressor, but it's simply locked for everybody, and the only people who have it unlocked presumably are people who work for DICE. So it's going to be nice to see if they're going to bring some new attachments for the shotguns, if they're maybe going to try and balance them out a little bit more. That would be nice to see. I hope everyone's not going to hate on the shotguns as much as they do in Battlefield 3 right now. I'm personally not a huge user of shotguns, you know. I will usually go for something a bit more reliable, like I'll go for an assault rifle or something. But sometimes it is fun just to change things up, whap on a shotgun, and yeah, sort of use this skill cannon for a while, where it's kind of hit or miss. Alright guys, that's about going to do it for this episode of Gun Guide. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. If you did, please hit that like button down below. I would appreciate that hugely. Feel free to subscribe for more of the same in the future. And I will catch you guys in the next one. Cheers.